Hello and welcome back, and today I want to talk to you guys about SSD caching. We're going to be doing some particular tests today, and we're going to be utilizing the brand new Synology DS920 Plus. But the main course of today's test is more going to be about this storage media. Now, inside this NAS, we have got three different kinds of storage media, all from the Seagate Ironwolf series of media for NAS devices. We've got two Seagate Ironwolf hard drives at 4 TB each, and they are in their own storage pool, which you can see, a Synology Hybrid RAID. We also have two SATA-based SSDs at 1.8 terabytes each, which at the moment have not been assigned to anything. The only storage volume we have, or the storage pool, is the main hard drives. And finally, we have two Seagate Ironwolf NVMe, so that's the Ironwolf 510s. We've got those in the SSD caching bays. And what we're going to do today is run a few little tests. We're going to go into the file management. We've got some files here. There's about 12 gig of data on here, not a huge amount of data. And this test data we're going to do here, we have in front of us here, we're going to create multiple copies of it, all in the same directory. We're going to take the data and we're going to make numerous copy-paste actions, probably about 5 of that 12 gig of data, and we're going to perform it on the hard drives without any SSD caching on this 4 gigabyte memory NAS. After we've done that, we're then going to use the SATA SSDs, enable those as caching, and then run the exact same tests to see what the performance difference is with SATA SSDs for caching. Then we're going to delete the SATA SSDs and then repeat the exact same process with the NVMe SSDs. And ultimately, what we want to find out is there any performance difference in caching between the SATA SSDs and the NVMe SSDs. We fully expect the operation to be faster than hard drives without SSD caching, particularly because we're using the same files for the copy-paste actions. But what's going to be interesting is seeing how the system behaves differently and what the speed differences are when the Synology NAS can take advantage of those NVMe bays. So what we're going to do is we'll get this up and running, and what we're going to do is we're going to start the tests as soon as the clock begins, but rather than have a clock on screen, because generally these tests can take a great deal of time, what we're going to rely on is the modification dates here on screen. We're going to use those to tell us when the tests start and when the tests finish. So what we're going to do is click copy on there, and once again we don't have any SSD caching enabled. We've only got the hard drives in that SHR storage pool, and we're going to start making our 5 copies now. So the time now on the clock next to me here is 10:33, and we're going to run this test now. I'm going to create the folder, create folder 1, create folder 2, create folder 3, 4, and finally 5. So not a vast amount of data, but this is still going to be an operation that's running on these devices on the same system, all using, I could tick that box, but I want to make sure you guys see that there isn't any kind of dull action happening there. Go for that there, hide, and boom. So there you go, we've now got those 5 copy actions happening there in the background. And it's going to copy all of that data into those other directories. Now, the time remaining may say 1 hour, but as you can see, it's flicking down to 34 minutes already. And we're going to see the time difference between these two actions. We can see there the creation time there at the bottom of the screen. If we go there, we can add the creation date. Add that there. Add that there. And now we're able to see the difference between creation and modification. And what we're going to do now is we're going to fast forward to the completion of this exercise to see just how long the system took for this copy-paste action. And the test is slowly drawing to a close there. It's been just over 16 minutes so far. I'm sure we'll get a far more accurate representation at the end of the tests. I will of course put all the results on screen, but again we're looking at just crossing now into around about the 17 minutes mark to make these 5 duplicates of that same directory there of 12.79 gig. And they're just starting to finish now. We'll let them all finish and we'll be able to conclude that there. We can head back, go back into each of the folders, and we'll be able to see that they've all completed in their own way. Now the time now is 10:51, so we'll make sure I make a note of that time there in the background. 51. And there we go, we've got our next test completed there. So next up we want to look at the SSD caching utilizing those SATA SSDs. As you see, I've created the SATA SSD cache in the background. It's utilizing both of the Seagate Ironwolf 110 SSDs, and those SSDs you can see here all being utilized. They've got all the stuff we need, and at the same time they're also supporting the storage pool there, the SHR right there, that's got all of that caching happening. At the same time, we're still utilizing the same data, and we have not only deleted those copies of data that we created, but if we look down here, you can see that there's only 12.82 gig of data inside. And on top of that, you can see that we've made sure, just like the previous test, that all background stuff is disabled. So there was no encryption, there was no integrity checks, there was nothing like that, including recycle bin for any kind of cached data or held data in the background. We're just keeping that there just to let you know that this is still a clean, even test. So we've got that there. We're going to click copy and get ready, and at the same time we're going to monitor the resources being utilized during this, and do keep an eye on the SSD caching here happening in the background to give us real-time information about what's happening during these cache actions, and of course take a look at the memory as well. Again, we do have standard NAS apps running in the background as well. Again, we've got a few different things running on this device, but without further ado, let's start testing and creating our 5 copies of this data. So again, just like before, we're going to create those folders. Go ahead, nearly done, all 5. I'm going to paste in, overwrite back, number 2, paste in, overwrite. And finally number 5. Go back, we can now open up the job monitor, and we can see all 5 of those operations happening there in the background in real time. So again, it's going to be not dissimilar to before. You're going to see that number start exceptionally high, and then it's going to dip down. We've made a note of the start time of this creation happening there in the background, and I'll update the record so far. Remember, the score to beat is 17 minutes 11 seconds. So we'll leave that on the other screen, and we'll let this finish its job. So we're just coming up on shy of 11:20 in the morning. Again, this has been running. We're definitely seeing faster speeds, probably something around the 14-minute mark. It's just completed those tasks, and we'll take a note of the time. Well, up 11, 19 and 45 seconds, which isn't too shabby. Let's make a quick note there. Cool, so we're up to 11 minutes and 19 seconds. Sorry, 11 o'clock and 19, so there's our time difference. And if we come back there, what we'll do is we'll pop that again to one side, we'll pop that down, and we'll get ready to do the NVMe level caching. We'll delete all of this data. So remove all of that from the system. And what we'll do is we'll fast forward to the completion of the creation of the NVMe SSD caching for test 3. And on to test 3. We've created our cached area using the NVMe level storage, and I'm pleased to confirm that not only was the SSD caching quicker as we imagined it would be, it was around 3 minutes or so quicker, and that was gauged in around 20% faster. So again, we are hoping to see a little higher from these NVMe SSDs, but I do think this CPU and memory of this NAS may present something of a glass ceiling in the background. Again, we've still got the same shared volume there with just that 12.8 gig. We can right click, look at the properties. We can see there that this folder, once it opens up and gives us the space, we can see that it should be exactly the same storage as we saw there during the copy paste, and there's a couple of little background bits, but we still don't have any kind of recycling bin or encryption happening in the background. We've got our area of SSD caching. As you can see, it's a smaller total because these are smaller SSDs. We can see that we've uninitialized the SATA SSDs and we're using the Seagate Ironwolf 510s NVMe's for caching on that SHR just like before. So we've still got all of the same things, but this time using NVMe SSD caching, and we're going to run this test for the third and final time. We're going to get ready to copy. We're going to make a note of the time, and the time right now is, let's have a quick look, it is 11:34. 34 and 9. So there we go. So we've got our time there, 11:34:09. So let's get ready to start. We're going to copy it and we're going to create our files. Our folders. And again, for those of you that are going to tell me, you know, this, what I'm doing right now could be automated, I completely understand. But for the sake of transparency, I just want to make sure that you guys see every single step with regards to the actual copy-paste actions. I'm not going to ask you to watch me build cache because that's going to be the same every time. And I do believe that seeing the cache acting there in the background should be more than enough proof on that score. If we go for that, we've got that action happening. We can go back to number 4, copy paste again, go into 5, copy paste again, and we can open up to all 5 of those actions happening there in the background. We'll minimize that shared folder screen, and we're already seeing a much faster uptake on copy number 1 there. So I don't think we're going to see a huge difference here with regards to the amount of data that's going to be utilized. You will be able to have a look at the used capacity of that caching and how it compared with the previous tests. And I mean, we are seeing a faster uptake per drive, although we did see an early spike on the SATA, maybe because of a gap during the copy-paste transition. But we're now going to see what our overall speeds are for that NVMe SSD caching. So I'm going to fast forward now to the completion of this exercise. We've still got the modified date files there. We've got the time in which they've all been created there. And again, let's fast forward to the completion of the final test 3 utilizing these NVMe SSDs from Seagate Ironwolf 510. Let's have a look. And now we're in the final 5% of the test, and we're already seeing an increase there, but we're definitely not seeing an enormous increase over that of SATA in terms of actual time. It's coming up now. It's just crossing into 11:45 AM, so it's been running now for just under 11 minutes. So we're just crossing over into 11 now, and we've just got the final little bit of time left there. And we are seeing that rise in used capacity on the NVMe's. Now, that's one area where I did see a distinction. The NVMe certainly utilized less system resources than that of the SATA ones. Because we were using larger SATA SSDs, we did see a rise in some of the other values here. So I think that does play its part in the tiniest bit. But I do think we're going to see a time difference between the SATA SSDs and the NVMe's of around about 2 minutes, just over maybe, but we'll have to double check that at the end. We're now into 11:45 and we're closing in now. The job's almost done, and we're seeing that used capacity just over 7 gig there on the NVMe's. Now remember, the original hard drives took just over 17 minutes. They took 17 minutes and 10 seconds, or 17 minutes 11 seconds even, and the SATA SSDs took 13 minutes 43 seconds, so around about 20% jump there. And now we're seeing the jobs finally start to conclude there in the background on those SSDs. And it looks like the job is complete. I'll have to refresh the page there, but the job has completed there, and we've stopped the clock at 11:45:19. So we'll carry on back to there. Let's bring those back up. I think we definitely had a network drop there just for a second, which is a real pain during these testings. So let's make sure everything is completed. Let's go for there. Open them all up. We're getting our storage manager open. Get the SSD cache there. Go into the Seagate tests. They're all done. Okay, so we've got the results up, and we can have a look at overall what happened with our 12.7 gigabytes of data. Sorry, I had to quickly do some math there in the background with regards to the percentages. So hard drives on their own took 17 minutes and 11 seconds to perform that copy. Now again, that isn't a huge surprise because these are hard drives and they are really designed for those multi-access actions at once. That's where you need something with quite high IOPS. We saw that the Seagate hard drives for NAS with the Seagate SATA SSDs for NAS clocked in at 13 minutes and 43 seconds. So again, that worked out pretty good, and a good drop there between them. And finally, we saw utilizing the NVMe SATA NVMe M2 SSDs, the Seagate 510s being used for read-write caching, we saw a speed come in at 11.10. Now, we can't overlook the fact that there were certain bottlenecks that we have to bear in mind. First and foremost, we have to bear in mind that this system also had other background operations. On top of that, we have to factor in the simple case that this device only had 4 gig of memory. And again, we did see at times both the CPU and the memory being pushed to their very limits. And finally, we have to bear in mind different capacities. And this one is probably the most important one while we're talking about it, because different capacities meant that the larger SATA SSDs required more memory to support that area of caching, and that probably made a difference between these two impactful numbers. And we can't tell utilizing this test whether having identical sizes of SATA and NVMe SSDs, which unfortunately I don't have to hand, would have played their part. I still think the NVMe test would have been faster, but maybe not to such a significant degree. So if we scroll down, we can take a look at the overall results. Now, based on this test regimen, we can ascertain the following. Those were the speeds that each one took, and we can see that SATA SSD caching provided us with a speed difference, a gain of 3 minutes 28 seconds rather than hard drives on their own, approximately 20.17% faster utilizing SATA SSD cache. Utilizing SSD caching, it was a whole 6 minutes faster, and overall 35% faster than the hard drives being utilized on their own. And finally, we can see with utilizing NVMe SSD caching that it worked out 2.5 minutes faster, or 18.5% faster, than using the SATA SSDs for caching. Now, again, these results are very much dependent on the test we've run today, and there are lots of ways in which this test could be optimized. First and foremost, utilizing much larger storage arrays, but unfortunately, due to the NVMe's being used in this test being of a smaller overall capacity, the result was that we could not exceed those values too high without unbalancing the test even further. Additionally, NVMe SSD bays on these devices are designed to act as alternatives to utilizing your SATA bays for caching, but also for future-proofing, because as technology moves forward, NVMe's become even more preferable for caching needs, and with DSM-7 having even larger increases in its utilization of caching as well as improved algorithms, there's a good chance that the NVMe bays inside the newest generation of Synology disk stations will not really reach its truest and most useful form until DSM-7 arrives. But this has been SSD caching on NVMe's versus SATA on the new Synology 920 Plus. I hope you guys have found this video helpful, and I have tried to keep things as straightforward as possible. There are of course big distinctions to be made in this test, and there's lots of ways in which we can poke holes in it. So just remember, this test is representative of the test. The results are representative of today's tests and are not truly indicative of everyone's storage environment. Always bear that in mind with any test, not just mine, but every video you see online. And otherwise, thank you for watching. Click like if you've enjoyed this, and also it helps me know that you guys like these videos and more videos of this speed test style, and click subscribe to learn more. I'll see you next time.